Greetings. So, I've named this channel Mitch Mitchell Stories, as some of you who are subscribed know, and I decided it's time to tell a story. And this is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to tell you some things that I have never told anybody before. Some people know most of this story, but they don't know all of the story. I never talked about it. And I'm going to do that now. So what happened is the last week of March in 1987. So we're going way back. A friend of mine was going to be going to Las Vegas for a conference. It was a conference where he could have two people go, but his wife couldn't go to the conference. So he called me and asked me if I wanted to go. And it was only going to be for a weekend. So in essence, I could pretty much go there and hang with him a little bit for some of the stuff, but for other parts of it, I would be on my own. So I said, sure. Now, I was a regular employee back then. I was assistant supervisor. I had to go and ask permission, and you were usually supposed to ask for 2 weeks or ask 2 weeks in advance before you could get time off. But this was the chance of a lifetime. I was going to be going for free. So I was going to get the plane ride for free, and I was going to get to stay in the hotel room for free, and I was going to get at least one meal for free Friday night. Not Saturday, because Saturday was the actual conference thing that he had to do during the day and the night. So I wasn't going to see him at all. And so it's like, yes, let's do this. I got permission. Told you, those people love me. So I got the permission to take the one day off because I only needed the Friday off because I was going to be back at work on the Monday. So we're good to go. Now, here's the thing. I had heard about Las Vegas, and the only things that I knew about Las Vegas, one, was that there was a desert. It was built in the desert. And two, that a lot of boxing matches were held at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Because I was a big boxing fan at the time. Not so much now. But back then, I was a major boxing fan. And the weekend I was going to be there was going to be just before the big middleweight fight between Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard. So I was like, whoa. And we were going to be staying at the MGM Grand, which isn't, the building I was in isn't there any longer, but there's supposedly another MGM Grand hotel in the area. Anyway, it was basically kind of across the street. That's what I saw. I knew that much. So it's like, this ought to be kind of cool. So the day that I need to leave, my friend Scott is going to take me to the airport. It's a blizzard. This is Syracuse. It was a blizzard. It was April, let's see, April 4th. So it's April 4th, 1987. It's a Friday. Gotta leave early. Now, the first flight I'm going to be on by myself because my friend was leaving from Albany, New York. So I can't remember where we were meeting each other, but we were meeting each other at a middle point and then flying the rest of the way to Las Vegas together. So it's a blizzard. It's 15 degrees. I've got on a parka. All I know is that Las Vegas is a desert. We didn't have internet. There was no way I could look anywhere to find out what the temperature was in Las Vegas. I wasn't anyone I could call. And most people didn't have computers. I had a PC, but it was a double floppy. There was just nothing. So I'm going off of all the knowledge that I have about it. So I left my parka with my friend Scott. Hey, dude, I'm getting on the airplane. Syracuse does not cancel flights out. We don't cancel flights when they come in because of weather. Now, if it gets canceled because it can't either land somewhere else or leave somewhere else. But us, we're tough people. Syracuse has the largest snowplow in the world. So this is what we do. We handle snow. So I give him my parka. Dude, I don't need that. I've packed my short sleeve shirts because, like I said, it had been cold in Syracuse. I'm going to warmth in Las Vegas. So I had been a long time since I'd been on an airplane. This was going to be my first airplane in, well, goodness, I think it was my first adult flight. I'd been on flights as a kid, as a military kid after all. So I'd been on those flights. And it was my first flight, but I wasn't scared of being on an airplane. I thought it was kind of cool. So I fly to, like I said, I don't remember where we met up. But we met up somewhere. It could have been Chicago. I don't know. But we're going to Vegas. And we got seats together. So we're talking. And it's like, this is so cool. We get to Vegas. The sun is out. It's 78 degrees. You're like, whoa. Total different. And this is the weather I thought I was getting to. Now, I wasn't used to being in a place with that much brown. And I'm not talking people. There's no grass. Everything was brown. That was so weird. Saw the mountains way off in the distance. No, like, water. I live in Central New York. We've got plenty of water. We got green. Saw no green. That was weird. And you know what else was weird? They had slot machines in the airport. Now, it's not a big deal today, I guess. But back then, for me, that was major. I'd never seen a slot machine. I had heard about slot machines, though. Matter of fact, I left home with $200 thinking, this is going to go well. I had no idea that Vegas was expensive, and I had no real idea what was going to happen with slot machines. So, we're in the airport. I said, yay, you know what? I'm going to go play a slot machine. The first thing I did, I put in 75 cents in the machine, and I won $5. The first pull, I said, this is easy. 15 minutes later, when my friend says, okay, we got our bus to go to the hotel, I was down $40. Because it just gets you. If you're new to slot machines, they will take you over. Watch out for that. Those of you who are used to slot machines, you know how that can happen. So now I'm a little depressed because I'm down $40. I got $160 to last me the weekend. That should be enough, I'm thinking, but I don't know. I know I'm going to play some more slot machines. So we get the bus. It takes us to our hotel. And these hotels in Las Vegas, if you've never been, they're massive. Hotels are just massive. They're casinos. They're not really hotels. There are some regular hotels, but in general, casinos are massive. And this was a massive hotel or a casino. So we get in, we check in, we do whatever. I tell my friend, okay, I'm going to go down to the slot machines. He says, are you sure you want to do that? I said, yeah, but I'll be back up so that, we can do whatever. So we do that. I go down, I place the slot machines. I lose about $30 more. Now I'm down to $130. I go back upstairs and say, okay, you know what? I need to calm this down. I need to slow it up a little bit. And he had a friend who was going to pick us up at the casino and take us somewhere. And I don't remember where we went. I really don't. Because I know at some point we went to Hoover Dam, but I can't remember if we went the Friday night or Saturday. I don't remember that, but we went somewhere. As a matter of fact, now I do remember. That's right. It was the Friday we went there because we were there early. So we go Hoover Dam, and that was an experience. Because I've seen a bunch of water. I've never seen a dam. And here's the thing. I don't know if they still have this, but you could get in on one level and you could go down into where you saw the workings of the dam. But it's a long time in the elevator to go down. It wasn't a fast elevator. And there was no floors. So you went from the top to the bottom. And I'm claustrophobic. And I had to basically close my eyes and go to the back of the thing and just lay against the back of the wall of the elevator with my eyes closed, saying, oh, come on, please, hurry up, get down, get me off. I'm saying that to myself. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of my friends. Although, he knew that I was bothered by this, but he didn't say anything because he was a good guy. Guys did not call their friends out. That's just a good thing. So anyhow, we go do that. I've now seen Hoover Dam. I'm less than impressed because I knew nothing about it. What I'm looking at is a bunch of gauges and stuff. I'm like, I don't care about this. They had different things up, like sometimes if you go out to sightsee something and you see the placards over and they tell you all this stuff. Well, they had it on the inside. I didn't care. And they're talking about water. I've seen water. So anyway, we eventually get out of there. We go back up. We're in the car. We're driving back to Vegas. And we all of a sudden run into a sandstorm. And I saw it coming. And I've seen snowstorms do that, where you see the snow off in the distance in a wall. And you're like, okay, it's coming our way. And then it hits you. And you're in a wall of snow. This was different. Because we're on this road. Here's a sandstorm. It was like, in my mind, 8-lane highway. In other words, we got 4 lanes here. They got 4 lanes on the other side. 8-lane highway. And the lights start blinking. So now you're on a 8-lane highway. The lights are blinking. You don't just have the red, green, and yellow anymore. They're flashing. You got sand. What are you going to do? I closed my eyes. I don't want to see. If we get hit, I don't want to know about it. And it turns out that became a theme for me when I wasn't driving sometimes. Because, what are you going to do? Anyway, we eventually get beyond that. The sandstorm goes away. And we go to a place where now we're going to eat something. And the only thing I remember, because I don't remember what we ate, but I do remember that we're walking down the street and the other 2 guys are drinking beers, open carry, walking down the street. And my friend Chuck says, "Are you sure this is okay?" He says, "Yeah, this is Vegas. You can walk down the street drinking beer." I don't know if you can still do that, but back then you could do that. Open carry had a different meaning back then than it does in today's world. So that was something. We get back to the hotel or the casino. I'm going to go downstairs again. And I go downstairs, and this time, after about an hour, I'm up $10. So now I'm at $140. Okay, that's not so bad. That works out well. That was that for that day because, didn't want to do anything. We didn't go to any shows. We just basically sat around and talked and did whatever. I did not gamble all night long that night. So now we got the next day. And we went to the buffet. I'm not really crazy about most buffet food. If it's not Chinese buffet, I'm not crazy about it. Still, it was food. It was free. And we hung out a little bit. But like I said, he was going to be going off to his conference for the day. And it was going to be pretty much an all-day thing into the night. So now I'm going to be by myself. So for a while there, I did go downstairs to play a little bit more, slot machines. And that's all I knew, by the way. Back then, I didn't know anything about poker. I still don't know how to play craps. I didn't know anything, but I now knew what the slot machines did. Like I said, I just seen it. And they get you get the bells and whatever. And if you win something, you get that little noise. Most of y'all know that. So what happened then is that I decide I'm going to go up and take a nap. And I actually knew one more thing about Las Vegas. I had heard of the Strip. I didn't really know what it was, but I had heard that it had a bunch of casinos on the Strip. So it's just me. And so what I do is I get myself all cleaned up, looking good. Well, as good as I could look. I go down and I get into my very first taxi. I'd never even seen a taxi. And now I'm in my first taxi. And, it's almost embarrassing to say, but I was 27 years old. First time ever in a taxi. It happens. And so the guy says, "Well, where do you want to go?" And I said, "I want you to take me to the end of the Strip, and I'm going to walk back to my hotel." I didn't know it at the time, but this was going to be the first time that I was going to learn that I have pretty bad depth perception, or distance perception, if you will. Because it turns out the Strip is really long, and I didn't know that. But you see these gigantic casinos, and you just don't think that each one of those casinos is the equivalent of 4 or 5 blocks at home. So I had no idea what I was in for. But he takes me to the end of the strip, lets me off. I don't remember how much it cost, but I still had money. So here we go. Now, what's interesting is the first building I see, I'm thinking, that looks like a different kind of casino. I wonder what that is. I'm by myself. I'm going in. This is the part I've never told anybody before. So I go into this place. It was like kind of a standalone building, club or something. It turned out it was some kind of club. And it was called Plato's Retreat. See, I know this now. I remember that. I had no clue what it was back then. And it turned out that it was what they used to call a sex club or an orgy club. So I go in there, and it's this bright blue-green light everywhere. And all the doors are kind of arched. There's no actual real doors. It's just like entryways into different places. And there were like these cushions on the floor in some of these rooms. They had some of the rooms there. And they had a heated pool in there. And it was just, the atmosphere was so different. And I'm just kind of amazed at what I'm seeing there. And no one was naked. That's how come I didn't know what it was at first. But no one was naked. It was early. I guess that when they really get partying, it's really late at night. This was probably like 5 o'clock for me. So I'm just in there, whatever, looking around. And I see a guy. I'm like, wait a minute. And I go, he's there with this really gorgeous woman. It's like, wow. And they're in the pool. So I just say to him, hey, aren't you a boxer? He says, yeah, I'm on the card fighting Monday night. I said, yes, because he's from New York. And I had seen him at a boxing competition here in Syracuse, of all things, at the Carrier Dome. And he just looked familiar. I'd seen him on TV also. I couldn't remember. I can't remember his name now. I knew his name then. And it was funny because we talked about 10 minutes about boxing. So I'm in a sex club. At least he wasn't mad at me. But I remember once I eventually left thinking, wait, I thought boxers didn't have sex before they had fights. Muhammad Ali never did. A lot of heavyweight boxers have always said that. So I just always assumed that was everybody. And I don't even know if he won that weekend, whatever. I don't ever remember seeing him on TV ever again. But I thought that was fascinating. And what got me to eventually leave, because I didn't stay long, like I said, I really didn't know what it was. At one point, there was this couple that was in one of these rooms laying on the cushion, but they weren't naked. They're just laying there. And I'm like, okay, there's no slot machines in here, so I guess they didn't have slot machines everywhere. And this gorgeous young woman comes up to me, and she's just stunning. And she's, not really wearing a lot of clothes, but she's not naked. And she says something about, oh, well, how about a couple of drinks? I said, well, I'm just drinking soda. She says, well, they have this great champagne, and it's only $50. $50 for champagne? I don't drink. $50? No, I said, I don't drink. I've never had a drink. He says, oh, you should have a drink. It's really good. And it's that kind of thing where I didn't have a girlfriend. I had nothing else going. I'm a bachelor. She's stunning. But it's just like, nah, this has to be some kind of scam. I'm not doing this. So I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And then she walks off and finds another guy, and I hear her say, hey, how about we have a drink? They have really good champagne here. And I said, yep, she's there. She's working for the place. The champagne must be how they really try to make their money off of this thing. So I leave that, and I start walking. And remember I mentioned how I left my parka in Syracuse? I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt because obviously it takes a lot for me to learn my lesson. Because what I didn't mention is that Friday night when we were walking down the street and they, my couple of friends there had beers, I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt. My friend was wearing a short sleeve shirt. The temperature was like 33, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're both cold, and he's drinking cold beer. There you go. So here I am in my short sleeve shirt nondescript because I didn't want to, look like I was an out-of-towner, but obviously it was probably pretty easy to figure out. And I start walking the strip. And one of the things I said I was going to do is I'm going to go into every casino that I come to, and I'm going to play, $5 or around $5 because I was playing quarters. So I started doing that. So I'd go into a casino, just play $5. Sometimes I, won. Sometimes I lost it all. Just playing that real quick. Going across the street to the next casino. Then walking up the street to a casino and doing whatever. And the thing is that, like I said, it was probably about 5 or 5:30 when I got to the end of the strip. And by the time I got back to my hotel, it was 2:30 in the morning. I was freezing. My body hurt. I weighed a lot more than I do now. And Caesar's Palace, which was where the boxing was going to be, was right across the street from my hotel. And I was just exhausted. I was cold. And I was miserable. And I wasn't feeling good. So I never got to see Caesar's. And what's funny is that I made 3 subsequent trips to Vegas and still never went to Caesar's. Happens. So, anyway, it was just one of these kind of things. And because I'd only been in that one taxi that first time, I did not know that any casino you went into, you could request them to get you a taxi. Which would have been the smart move. Why am I still walking this strip when I could have just asked someone to call a taxi for me? And I didn't eat. So, since lunch, I haven't eaten. I'm cold. I'm miserable. I'm sore. But I kept going. And I get to my hotel. And I go to bed. And we're leaving the next morning. And I am now sick. Not sick to my stomach. I have a cold sick. And the thing is that it's rare for me to get a cold sick. My defenses really have to be down. And sure enough, my defenses were down. Not at home, where it's 15 degrees and was the blizzard, but in Las Vegas because of the temperature change, it just kicked my behind. So, on the way back, my friend Chuck says, there's this thing you can do. You wait till the end. We don't get on first. And then what happens is they always have seats available, and sometimes they're in first class, and you might be able to get into first class just by waiting. I don't know. Sure, let's do this. And it turned out it worked. That doesn't work today. But back then, it worked. So the first flight was from Las Vegas to Denver, Colorado. Only time I've ever been to Denver, Colorado, and it didn't really count for anything. And then the second flight was, for me, was Denver to Syracuse. For him, it's Denver to Albany. Sitting in first class, the first flight, sitting next to what we used to call stewardesses. Now they're called flight attendants, but there you go. And she was basically just writing. She wasn't working this day, but she still had the, outfit on. And she was gorgeous. And we're in first class. And I'm sick. So I don't want to talk. I got orange juice, which I hated orange juice. I still hate orange juice, but I'm thinking maybe it'll help me feel better. Vitamin C, that's what you're thinking. Didn't work. My friend Chuck is sitting over there in the other seat because he wasn't outside that Saturday as much as I was. And he's drinking the free champagne. Champagne on a plane. I don't even know if you can get that now. But that's what he had. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. I was just miserable. I was sick. And on the flight from Denver coming back to Syracuse, I'm still sick. I get home, or get to the airport in Syracuse, and we don't have a blizzard anymore, but it's still snowing. And luckily my friend brought my parka, and I get the parka on, and it still doesn't feel good. I could not wait to get back to my apartment. Turn the heat way up, and I was sick at work that entire week. But I went to work every single day, because the only day of work that I missed the entire time I was there was when I'd had a car accident the night before, and I kind of went into shock once I started thinking about it later on. And my dad came and he said, "You're not going to work tomorrow. We're going to go and get you another car and do whatever." And so that was the only day of work that I ever missed when I hadn't taken at least a day off for some reason. And truthfully, I think that first job, I think I took basically 3 days off. I didn't use any of my vacation time for anything except for that, going to Vegas. Wow. Anyhow, that's, how travel used to be back then. Sometimes you could go to places where you could get, you call them triptychs. And if I had gone to AAA, I would have been able to at least get a brochure and know a little bit more about Las Vegas beforehand. But I didn't think about it because I wasn't driving, because that's what most people only used to use it for. But you could also get it for major cities. I didn't know that at the time. So anyhow, that's that little story. It's probably not as compelling. Oh, but I do want to say this did happen, is that by the time I had made it back to my hotel, I was within $10 of what I started with. So I came home only down $10. That's not bad. And it started a pattern for other casinos until they opened the casino here in New York. But that's a different story for another time. Anyhow, that's my story. My first time in Vegas. Y'all let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed the story. You got any questions? Like I said, didn't see any sex in the sex club, so don't even ask that question. My name's Mitch Mitchell. Yes, I wore a black shirt today because I recognized it on my last two videos on this channel and my other YouTube channel. I was wearing a red shirt. Not the same red shirt, but a red shirt. So now it's a different color. Y'all take care. Bye.